Well, hello there, parapeeps, and welcome to another Behind the Haunting.
Yes.
I am your host, Sean Donnelly.
I'm your co-host, Marianne Donnelly.
We hope you are having a great evening. We got a great show for you, a lot of very interesting information. And it's been a long time since we did one of these.
It has been.
Too long.
Yes.
Too long.
Agreed.
So, let's see who's here joining us early. We're a little crooked there. Why are we crooked? We're kind of off.
I know.
Why are we off?
Because you keep coming over this way towards me, I think. I don't know. It's not the
camera's
table.
Over there. I know.
It's not the table.
I don't know. We're a little crooked. All right. Just want to make sure everyone can see us okay, hear us okay. Just a little check before we get going. We are not dropping packets, but we don't have a good health, so just want to make sure everything is okay. Everything is A-okay. Please let me know.
So Irish Whiskey says the Marshmallow Man is attacking from behind, and the Lady Vamp says, just get closer.
Just get closer.
Just get closer.
She'll give me cooties.
Happy Trail says it sounds and looks great.
Sounds and looks great. All right, we're going to roll with it. You guys ready to get going?
Of course they are.
All right.
They're super psyched excited.
Now, when we did these before, they went on and on and on and on and on. We're going to try to not do that tonight.
We're
going to try not to.
Okay.
But every once in a while, we're going to stop and have a tiny little commercial. Okay?
We are?
Yes, we are. Because we are going to be doing something new. This is our first Behind the Haunting that we've done since we've been monetized. Okay? Mm-hmm. Now, Marianne and I have talked about this a lot over and over and over and over, but we're going to take the Behind the Hauntings, and that's going to be one of our books. Okay? They're not necessarily, well, most of these are locations we went to, but Behind the Hauntings we could do from other subjects that we haven't been there yet, but we've researched and done there, and we want to put together a book. Okay? So, here are our thoughts on this. To produce a book, it does take some money to do that, to self-produce and put it out. So here's what we're going to do. On our Behind the Haunting shows, if we get a super chat, we're going to keep track of everything and thank them in the book.
Okay.
We're going to put them in the book.
All right.
Okay? Mm-hmm. Not because that super chat is going to go towards producing the book. Okay? Mm-hmm. So every once in a while we're going to stop, and I'm going to say it because we'll get new people coming in and that kind of stuff. So, got that out of the way. All right? Mm-hmm. You okay with this? Yes?
Sure.
Okay. It's better to ask for forgiveness.
Uh-huh.
All right, so tonight, are you ready to go? You got your presentation going? Or we're going to let's say hi to who's in chat here before we get rocking and rolling.
All right. So we have...
In print or Kindle, we do both. It will be both.
Mm-hmm. Country Girl Paranormal, Happy Trails Hiking, In the Woods with Wolfie, Irish Whiskey Paranormal, Marty's Crew, Our Family Adventures, The Lady Vamp, and Annette Reagan. And maybe Joanne Reagan. I'm not sure.
Marianne's sister has that plague that Skinny G Panda and Yankee has. They can't comment.
Yes.
In chats. Yeah. Which is kind of
interesting. She doesn't produce any videos either. So that's interesting. Hers is even more interesting.
Yeah. There's something spreading out there in YouTubeosphere.
Yes. So anyway, so she may or may not be
Holy cow,
here.
there we got one. All right. Happy Trails Hiking.
Well,
thank you very much. You are going to be listed first. There we go. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right. Did you say hi to PSPR?
No. They must have said something after the list. So, hello, PSPR. How are you this evening?
All right. So, we got to get in the groove.
All
we
right.
had a long day.
We did have a long day.
Got to get excited.
I just got home from work from 6:30 this morning.
Yeah. Maybe if I pause this, it'll give us a little bit more bandwidth. Maybe if I pause that. All right. So we got 13 watching. If you guys want to share it out, go right ahead. If not, it's going to be a nice little closed group here.
That's right.
And we're going to get going. On tonight's subject, did you figure out how to pronounce her name?
Yes.
All right. Okay, go ahead.
Peg Entwistle, the Hollywood sign girl.
That's right. She's also known as the Hollywood sign girl. Now, here's how these work if you've never attended one of these before. Okay? Of course, we are live, and you guys heard my disclaimer. I'm going to make mistakes. It will happen. Marianne's here to correct me. Okay? So there's no editing on these. We leave them out there. Okay? If you want to, share it out. That would be kind of cool. Get some more people in here. Now, all of this content that we're presenting is also available on panicd.com, but we're also going to post it on our Patreon too, because that's new since we did this, using the Patreon to post our research. So you got a ton of links with this one, right?
I did find a ton of links.
Ton of stuff. All right. Mm-hmm. So we're going to present the story basically like a crime case. Okay, so this is where the forensic part comes in with Panic D. We always say history, paranormal, and forensic type video. So this is like the forensic study of the haunting.
Right.
Okay?
Yes.
So before we get going, those of you in chat, who has attended one of these before? Just put a number 1 in chat if you have.
If you've attended one
of our Behind the Hauntings before. So as we go along, we'll pause every once in a while. We'll ask for some feedback during the presentation. And then also on these, since we're going to kind of leave them as videos out there, we're at the end, we're going to ask you, something to come back to leave on the video after we're finished. One of the questions at the end, we're going to ask you to come back and leave a comment. Okay? Mm-hmm. Now, if you can't stay the whole time, come back later and, just leave a comment. Whether you like these and, didn't like them, I don't care. Just leave a comment. All right. Let's see.
So it looks like we have one person who has been to one of these versions of this for us before. So that means everybody else is a newbie.
Okay. All right. Well, I just went over to how we're going to do it, how they work.
All right.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
You ready?
Mm-hmm.
I thought you had this up over there so you could read it too.
No.
No?
But, I can. I have it in the background.
Well, you're going to have to read some of this stuff because basically you can read it from the screen there, but we have to talk into the camera.
Hi.
All right, so here we go.
All right.
Has anybody, before we get started, okay, oh yeah, he's stopping again. Okay. Has anybody heard of the haunting behind the Hollywood sign or the Hollywood girl? Has anyone heard those paranormal claims before? If you have, just tell us yes, no, whether you heard of it before. Now, I know some of the comments that we got on some of the other videos already, people have been to the Hollywood sign, done a ghost tour there at the Hollywood sign. How cool would that be? That would be cool.
It would be cool.
Live chat not working. I like Santa cookies. I have heard of it. Okay. From us. All right.
I don't know. It looks like live chats seems to be working.
I'm on top chat.
I was on top chat, but I see the live chat. I moved over to live chat and it's moving too. So.
Okay.
Okay.
There's been some weird stuff happening on YouTube today. I know Happy Trails thing said there was one watching, and I know there was a lot of people in there talking
back and forth. We have a few new people that are here. So we have emergency vehicles, trains, aircraft, etc. Timber Hill Redbones has joined us, and Lori Bryant as well. And Chandra Pivo's just stopped by.
Thought you said that wrong.
I know.
It's Chandra
Pivo.
Chandra Pivo.
I know. I learned it from Michael. And Timey's here too. Everybody, the whole crew's here now.
So I should give our commercial again. We got a bunch of new people.
I don't care. Timey says that we're going on the TV, so they're putting us on.
So
the TV.
I'll give the commercial again, basically, and then we'll get into this. All right. So this is a Behind the Haunting. This is our 5th one that we've done, but it's the first one we've done since we've been monetized. So since we have Super Chat, what we're going to do is we're going to take these Behind the Hauntings and have them. Each one of them is going to be a chapter in a book that we're going to publish. And if you do a Super Chat during a Behind the Haunting, we're going to thank you in the book. So that's, in the credits of the book, we're going to thank everybody who's contributed to the publication of the book. So I thought that would be something kind of cool to do now that we're monetized and as we go through this. Okay. So, all right, let's get going. I think we've kept them captivated enough.
Yes.
All right, here we go.
So this is Peg.
Peg, how do you say it? Entwistle.
Entwistle or
Peg
Entwistle, but Entwistle is pretty much
okay, I'm clicking
the consensus.
There we go.
It's like whistle and whistle.
Okay, but that wasn't her real name. Her real name wasn't Peg.
No, it was not.
Her real name was?
Millicent Lillian Entwistle. She actually picked the name Peg when she was in her teens. When she started getting into theater, she's like, I want to be called Peg.
Okay, she was born February 5th of 1908. 1908, if we say it correctly. She was born in Wales, but she wasn't there very long. Correct? Yes?
Right. She was born in Wales, but it wasn't because she lived there or anything like that. Her parents were just visiting friends and things. They were just visiting Wales at the time, and she just came along.
Okay. And she passed away September 16th, 1932. That's kind of an interesting date, and we're going to explain why later. Okay?
Yes. Now, there's several people who say that it was the 18th, but it was actually the 18th when she was found.
Okay, so basically, what has been reported and recorded in history is that she climbed on top of the Hollywood sign, Hollywoodland sign.
Correct.
Okay, and she jumped off the H. Okay, her ashes were interred on January 5th of 1933, which was, notice the difference in the dates there. Okay. It's kind of important. We're going to talk about that. And
turns out
she's in Ohio.
Actually here in Ohio.
That's right. Not too far from Cincinnati, Ohio, actually. That's where that Oak Hill Cemetery is. Because I thought, hey, we saw this. This is in Ohio. We could before we do this, we could just run over there and get pictures of it. Yeah, but it's like 4.5 hours
across
away.
the state. Yeah.
Yeah, so that wasn't happening.
Not with our schedule right now.
No.
Yeah.
All right, so, okay. Marianne also listed the section number, lot number, and the grave number, which you're going to talk about
later as well.
In a little bit. Okay. All right, so let's go over a little bit of the timeline of, can we call her Peg? We'll call her Peg.
I'm sure.
It's easier for me to say Peg than Millicent.
It definitely is. And she liked going by Peg as well. So PSPR says they know where that cemetery actually is.
There you go, bud. I mean, yeah. I would love to go there to the gravesite. That would be awesome to tie all that together with the book, actually, and have a picture of that would be very cool.
Yeah.
But it's down in Cincinnati, so you know how far that is. It's a little bit. It's not like you could just run down there and do it. That's like a weekend type thing.
Right.
So.
All right.
So
what's next?
I don't know. You did the PowerPoint. That's why I'm going so slow.
Oh, okay.
Okay. I don't know what's next. Okay. Here we go.
All right. So there is a theory that her mom actually died in 1910. Now, other people, and I'm one of them who says I disagree to that, but it is documented places that supposedly she died in 1910. Her father, when he died, he specifically said he did not want her to go with her mother at all. He left rules and documentation saying, I don't want her to go. So because he said that and he died so much later, I really don't believe that to actually be true.
Okay.
It's one of the little tidbits that I think is incorrect. However, in 1912, 1913, her dad, Robert, was actually hired by a Broadway producer that a lot of people probably know, Charles Frohman, and he asked him to manage the stages in New York. And so he did, and a little bit later went and...
yeah, I'm trying something. I'm trying to put us up on screen. There we go.
Oh, you want us to see?
There we go.
Oh. So a little
so
bit...
they can see us, so I don't have to keep going back and forth.
So you may have been wondering what the boat was, but so he takes her and they go to New York, and they get to New York on that boat.
Okay. Farm work, I would just recommend that with this group you just sit here and enjoy yourself and have a conversation with these people here, because to be honest with you, I don't think that's going to work in the chat. Just we're not here to get to know each other, but we're not here for that kind of stuff. They might get kind of a little bit upset with you. To me, whatever you want to do, buddy, but just saying. Okay.
All right. So anyways, she actually moves to New York with her dad around age 9. Mm-hmm. And as I was saying, she actually came to the United States on the SS Philadelphia. So that's actually a picture of the SS Philadelphia there.
Okay.
So then her dad got remarried. This, guys did that. They had young children. Why not, right? So he did get remarried, and he married somebody named Loretta.
Well, now I'm blocking I'm going to have to shut us off.
What are you blocking?
Nothing.
Oh, yeah.
Go ahead.
Mm-hmm. You would be blocking that pretty soon. Anyway, they do have 2 sons, so she has 2 half-brothers, Milton and Robert. Now, unfortunately, in 1921, her stepmother dies as well. Now, her stepmother died from meningitis. Dad just doesn't seem to be able to keep these women
Can't keep
going.
the women.
Yeah. So either they keep dying, or maybe the first one was a divorce. We just don't know for 100% on that one. But we do know that Loretta did die from meningitis. Not that long later, he actually gets hit by a limo in New York. And he ends up dying from complications from this in 1922. Which is sad. Now she's a orphan. Okay. Quite young and an orphan.
So that brings to the reason why
she starts to live with her aunt and uncle. Mm-hmm.
And I was kind of watching the screen here. I apologize, I wasn't paying attention. But did you mention about the will that you told me?
Well, that's what. Yeah. Well, I was saying that her father didn't want her to go with the mother at all. And so it was when he died that kind of came out. So that's why I don't believe his first wife actually died.
Okay. All right.
In any case, she goes off to Ohio. Oh, they don't see me now.
Don't see you. They don't see your hand gestures.
I was all excited that she came to Ohio. But anyway, so she moves. Her and her 2 half-brothers are actually...
there you go. Do it again.
Ohio!
All right.
So they moved to Ohio with the aunt and uncle. There is there are a couple places where I've noted that said that they actually adopted the 3 children. Others just said that they lived with them, but I did see a couple places where it said that they did adopt them. But in 1924 then, Peg enrolls into a school in Boston that allows her to do a lot of theater work. And when she is working there, getting some degrees and practicing and being on stage, she does get to meet or become, I guess, the role model for several people. But her very first Broadway play was actually just a very small walk-on role. She played in Hamlet. It was a friend of the family who was kind of doing that and said, come on, I'll let you. But the one that I want to talk about is The Wild Duck. While she was playing in The Wild Duck, she ended up having someone in the audience that would later become very famous.
She's talking to the camera again. I'm sorry. There.
You tell me to talk to the camera,
She's
then I
talking to
do,
the
and then
camera.
like, oh, oops, we're not on there.
Let's see if I can move us down.
It's only it's pretty much gonna be filled, but you can leave us there for a couple seconds.
There.
So, anyways, she is on stage in this play called The Wild Duck, and Betty Davis, as a kid, goes to see the show with her mom. And Betty Davis ends up saying, after the show, I want to be just like her. I want to be like Peg Entwistle.
Betty Davis said
Betty Davis did.
So she must have been a very good actress.
They said that she was very good at Broadway, all the theater. Maybe not quite so much in the movies, but who knows if she would have become.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. So, anyways, and then as you were saying, she was very good, and she was so good that the New York Theater Guild was so impressed with her that they actually asked her to come and work with them, and she became the youngest actress ever to get that honor, which I thought was kind of cool.
All right.
Timmy said she pictured me in her head.
Did she?
Yeah. All right.
All right. So, any questions so far? So that's the timeline leading up to being an actress in New York, correct?
Yes. Yeah. So Timmy says maybe Dad's taking them out his wives, Oh,
Marty, it gets better. It gets better. We found out some stuff today, and when I went and it gets better. It gets better. It said, talk about Hollywood legends. Wait till you see how this pieces together, who this Peg actually was. Mm-hmm. You guys are going to be...
All right.
All right. Ready to move on?
Yes. Let's get back to the timeline.
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
So these are the shows.
These are going to be the shows that she was in on Broadway between 1926 and 1932. So she had moved to New York from Boston. She moved from Ohio to Boston, and then she moved from Boston to New York. But just every year, she was doing a couple of plays every year. You'll notice there's a small little gap there between 1929 and 1931, and we'll kind of talk about that in a minute or two as to why that is. A little bit of depression time there for her. I don't know
when this is going to stop, so...
Oh, all the way, one more.
One more?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay, so those are some of the plays. Notice she was in Sherlock Holmes, and she was in Tommy, and she was in Getting Married. Those are
Little
some of
Women.
the Little Women. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So
there's some big name plays, and this is Broadway, right?
Yes. Yeah. So she was in these on Broadway.
I guess if I would have read the screen, it says Broadway.
It's okay. It's all right. You know,
I really should have looked this over.
Neither one of us actually looks at the other's work.
No.
Like, I don't watch some of the things that he does. I don't think I've seen one of your, unfortunately, I haven't seen one of
watch
your
the videos.
Ghost stories and folklore in like a really long time.
Thank
sorry,
you.
Sweetheart.
Appreciate it.
So, yeah. So he doesn't look at this stuff that I came up with either. So it's all right. We're even.
I can put us back on.
We're even.
I can put us back on screen
for a couple minutes. Yeah, you sure can.
Okay, so here's where it's going to start getting interesting and tying into other Hollywood legends.
That's
okay?
right.
You can talk about that, and I can see if I can find his picture.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't put his picture, and I didn't put Betty Davis or anything in there either. But in 1927, she ended up marrying Robert Keith. And he was an actor as well. And they toured together in 1928.
So I'm looking for Firefox.
Okay. He's going to show you a picture.
So that's Robert Keith. Okay.
So that was her husband. And he and her were part of a touring group that traveled around the country celebrating the 10-year anniversary of the New York Theater Guild. So they actually just went around and did theater in different places, and it was, something that they did together.
Okay, in chat, has anybody heard of Robert Keith before? Let us know.
okay. Well, we're waiting to see if they learned anything about that. Let me just say that he forgot to tell Peg that he had been married before and had a son. He forgot, and then he claimed he didn't have this son and wasn't married before and all this, and she's like, yeah, okay, whatever.
So he had a 6-year-old son?
He had a 6-year-old son.
Okay. So his 6-year-old son was none other than Brian Keith. I know you guys have heard of Brian Keith before.
I had never heard of him before.
Marianne hasn't, but she saw the picture.
But when I saw him, then I knew him. Yeah. He is the Parent Trap daddy. Everybody online was just, when they would mention him, they were always talking about the family affair. And I had never seen that. I'm like, I don't know who this guy is. But then when I pulled his picture up, I'm like, oh my gosh, I do know him.
That's right. So the Hollywood sign girl was
stepmom.
Yeah, stepmom to. Oh, I clicked the wrong screen. Brian Keith.
Mm-hmm.
Bet you didn't know that.
She was.
Bet you didn't know that, because we didn't know that till earlier today.
Well, I knew it yesterday.
Oh, she knew it yesterday.
I knew it yesterday.
Okay. All right.
Anyways,
I'm all messed up. Keep
so
going.
In 1929, they had done touring in 1928, 1929. I don't know if it was in 28 or whatever, but she finds out about this son and this previous marriage, and he starts to become somewhat abusive to her, ripping hair out of her head and everything. And so she does file for divorce and divorces him, citing cruelty as the reasoning in 1929. So then she has a little bit of a almost hiatus for a couple years. She does start back in 1931 back to the theater again, and 1932 becomes her final theater role on Broadway in New York, and it was Alice Sit by the Fire.
Okay, is that the end of that slide?
Yeah. Now the something big though there that's important is
go back.
It was cut short. Her final Broadway play was cut short because somebody just couldn't make it to work and kept on not showing up, and so they ended up canceling the rest of the shows. The lead, who was not Peg, ended up, kind of ruining it.
Mm-hmm.
And so then she ends up going out west.
Which ended her, that ended
her Broadway.
Broadway
yeah.
career. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So how are we doing in chat?
They're all blown away about Brian Keith. Now,
yes. Yes, Daddy did seem to be an absentee.
Yeah. So there is speculation. Some say that he did, some say that he didn't, that Brian Keith committed
That's later in my presentation.
That's later.
But that's
okay, I'm skipping ahead.
It's all right. Okay. But yes, there is the theory that Brian also committed suicide, and thus his daughter as well.
Yeah. All right.
Good.
Any questions so far?
No.
Nope. Okay. Is he still alive? Brian Keith? No, he is not. No, he's not.
Yeah.
And did you say when her
he
husband
never
died?
Mind.
Did you say when her husband?
I did not.
1966. Richard Keith passed away in 1966.
Too many Keiths.
Yeah.
First names that are the same as last names also freak me out. I'm just saying.
Okay.
Yeah. So like Richard Keith, those are two first names. It kind of messes with my head when they have, first and last.
Is that candle on?
Yeah.
That candle is good. Dim. There. Huh? There we go.
Okay.
Set problems. All right, fixed.
Thanks.
Okay, we ready to move on?
Did somebody tell you that in the chat?
No, I was just looking.
You just
I'm
noticed.
like, something's not right.
Got it. Okay.
Oh, long day.
All right, so it's time to go out.
I almost hit stop streaming.
Oh, that would be bad.
Stay away from. They should make that button red.
Oh, goodness. All right. So, this ended her time in New York, and we're ready to go out west, right?
Okay. We're trying to make this go quicker.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Timey says Blurb wants to know what about Keith. Oh my gosh, that would drive me insane.
Keith.
That would really mess with my head. I have a girl in my class right now, and
Who
she
would
has
do
two
that?
female names,
Yeah,
like
but
her
who
first
would
name and her
name
last
their
name, and
child-
I'm like,
Who would name their child Keith?
Yeah, that's kind of weird.
I have
But
a joke
people
there,
do
but I'm
stuff.
not going to say it.
People do stuff weird, like that I wouldn't do, and that's normal to them.
Okay,
so.
we're done with him because that picture there is
It's creeping
freaking me
you
out
out?
a little bit. Yeah, he's
Okay.
like staring at me.
Okay.
All right, so let's
Make
get rid
him
of that.
go away.
Okay, goodbye.
There he is. Bye-bye.
All right, are we good?
I think we're
Did you do
okay.
this one?
Next
Next bullet?
No, I didn't.
Oh.
But Irish Whiskey said they knew a Paul Paulson once.
Paul Paulson.
What's wrong? And Lisa.
Lisa.
That was yeah. Matthew Matthews. Oh, jeez. I'm Chandra Michelle. 2 first names. Yeah, but was your last name Michelle before you got married? Because that's the thing that creeps me out. You know, the middle name is the middle name. That's normal. But it's that first and last name that are both first names that mess with me. Okay.
All right. Next one?
All right. So, I did mention that we were going to go out west. I didn't mention specifically this that's on the slide, but they can read that. But basically,
It's
she
been up
was
there
with
for a while.
Humphrey Bogart. She was in a play with him. So that was pretty cool. They did pretty well with that particular play. But when it came to an end, she was a struggling actress. She, had moved in again with her aunt and uncle, which happened to be on Beechwood Drive. And she was able to see the Hollywoodland sign from her front porch. So we do have a picture of that coming up. So anyhow, she did find a few small roles in some small theaters out there, but for the most part, she just wasn't getting a lot. Because she's out there in Hollywood now. It's a little stiffer.
Yeah, she thought she was gonna break into the movies.
Mm-hmm. But anyway, she does get some of those smaller roles, and she finally does get seen by RKO Studios. So RKO Pictures comes and says, "Hey, I want you for my movie." And she's like, "Oh, the movies." And so she quits her roles that she has already signed on for, which is an absolute no-no in Hollywood. I mean, in the theater, you just do not quit your job and expect to get a call back in the future from that touring company or anything. So that was probably a mistake on her part, especially since she signed to play in 13 Women, which turned out to not be that good a movie, as it turns out. However, so June 13th, she signs the contract to play with the role of Hazel in 13 Women. She has a pretty decent-sized role, but her role gets cut.
I'm going to flip this back to you so you can explain that.
Okay. So her role gets cut. It gets cut to like nothing, right? Down to like 3 minutes. There was a couple reasons for that. The first reason was it didn't do so well in like preliminary showing type things where they were kind of like, "Oh, what do you think? What do they call those test screenings or
test audience or whatever."
Yeah. It didn't go well. So they cut the movie down from like 73 minutes down to like 40 some minutes. The second thing is her character. Her character was actually a lesbian character. And
in
the 1920s,
I can imagine.
Not going to go over real well.
No, with the censors.
Right. So the censorship committee basically said, get rid of that. And so they cut her role to pretty much nothing in the end. And she was only in a few scenes. And she was very disappointed. And then after that, they basically released her from her contract. So now she has no contract with RKO. She's quit her theater jobs, and she's kind of, gotten herself a little bit blackballed, so that could be problematic.
Okay, so let's take a little break, and I'm going to say again, if anybody offers up a super chat, you're going to be listed in the book that we're going to get published. This is number 5. We're probably going to start putting that book together. I don't know, maybe 10
Okay.
of these.
Okay.
That would fit a book.
Yes.
And some of the others that we have planned that I know of for sure that we have to do is the Jenny Wade story.
Mm-hmm.
John Burns.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to do one maybe on all the spirits at Hillview.
Ooh.
That one might be kind of good.
Hmm.
What else am I thinking?
I don't know. I hadn't really thought about it specifically.
We could do one on just the White House. Of all
There's
the hauntings
there's a
and
lot
stuff
of
at the
hauntings
White
at the
House.
White
That
House.
might be kind of interesting. So, what do you guys think? The White House. Would this be kind of cool for the White House? Let us know in chat. And while you're doing that, you mentioned that that address where she lived
Yes.
was pretty close to
The Hollywood sign
So this picture right here,
is a current version. We did not take this one. I actually stole this one. So credits down there. But at the time, it would have said Hollywoodland back there on that hill. Now it just says Hollywood.
Mhm.
But that's the picket fence that's outside of her aunt and uncle's house there. And she would have walked out there and saw the Hollywood sign every time she went in and out of the house.
yeah, that would have been,
Just
on her mind.
looking at her
constantly.
going, you're just not good enough for us.
So normally on our schedule, okay, on Friday we put out the location history video. The history of the Hollywood sign is our next video. It's not going to come out tomorrow morning because by the time we're done here, I haven't even started editing that, and I'm probably going to get something to eat and go to bed, to be honest, because we worked 12 hours today. So it's probably going to come out Saturday morning. I'll come home tomorrow after work and edit it. Marianne's got the narration done. That's it. We don't even have the rest of it recorded. So tomorrow night it'll probably come home. That'll probably come out Saturday morning. That's going to be the first Friday in I think 42 locations, maybe more, that we haven't had that Friday morning video. It's probably going to mess up with YouTube, but you know what? I'm tired.
We had a
The
busy
video
week.
was not going to come out good
We
if
had
I
a
stay up
busy
and do
week.
it. This is not going to happen. So it'll be out there Saturday.
We
morning,
had to
so.
do that silent movie short and everything this
Yeah,
week.
been a little busy. All right. Oh, okay. So chilling. Thanks, Kay. Last minute stuff to do. See, make it amazing. Okay, Chandra must be leaving.
Yes, and chilling with Millen is listening in the background.
Okay. Irish whiskey will be asleep Saturday morning. I probably will be too, to be honest with you. But
I won't
I
be.
can load it Friday night before I go to bed.
I won't be. I'll be doing.
Oh, that's
ECT.
right. Marianne's not going to be home Saturday
Nope.
morning.
Sure
we'll
won't.
watch it when you get it done. Okay. See, thank you. You guys are awesome. I think you guys understand. I could stay up, and if I was a younger man, I probably would. But you know what? I know that the quality of that thing would be horrid if I did that. So I don't want to do that.
Okay.
All right. So what we got going here?
Well, we have just found out that, Peg has, I'll be napping in the afternoon, yeah. We just found out that Peg has pretty much lost her RKO job.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's keep on keeping on.
Yes.
All right. There we go.
And I kind of mentioned this too.
Okay. Should
Keep
we change
going, keep going, keep going. The next one is going to be the new stuff.
it? There we go.
All right.
And they can't
So-
see it.
Keeping all of the things that we said right before he took a break in mind, which is the stuff at the top of the screen now.
Yeah, I'm gonna fix it.
She gets cut from RKO. She gets blacklisted in the theater. And she has to walk out and see that Hollywoodland sign every time she's going in and out. She gets overwhelmed. She's depressed. She's got that whole, like, oh, my husband forgot to tell me about my stepson, for all that time we were married. And there's theory that maybe she might have had another love interest at the time that didn't quite go so well. And so she decides Friday evening, note the date, Friday evening, September 16th of 1932.
There we go. Now we can be on camera.
She ends up telling her...
That big.
She ends up telling her uncle that she is going to go and visit some friends. And she doesn't come back. And this is just hours after the release of the movie. And you can see this is a screenshot of IMDb, about 13 women. And it shows the release date is September 16th of 1932. So the day of the official final release of the movie, she's depressed. Again, she got cut to almost nothing. And she says, you know what, I'm going to go out. I'm going to go see some friends. I might go stop, get some books. She just never comes home.
And how long? Okay. So what was that date? The 16th.
The 16th.
Okay. So that's the 16th of September.
Mm-hmm. So she's seen on the 16th.
All right. So maybe we should do a little disclaimer here. Just don't get gross. 2 days later, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Don't get gross.
I'm not
Be
gonna
nice.
Get gross. I'm not gonna get gross.
Okay.
Why would you think that?
As I know you. I live with you.
I'm not gonna get gross till the end of the presentation, dear.
Right. We'll put up a disclaimer.
Put up a disclaimer then.
Just give me the claws in the leg when disclaimer should go.
Disclaimer time. Okay. All right. So, 2 days later, September 18th, there's a woman, and she's gone out walking along near the Hollywood sign. And she said, I was hiking there.
You talk to the camera.
And I found, and I found this shoe. And then I walked a little bit further along and I found a purse. And I decided to go in the purse and look and see what's in it. And I found a suicide note. So I gathered all this stuff up and I took it to the police station. And I left it on the steps outside of the front of the police station. I didn't go inside. I didn't report everything. I just took the stuff, collected it all, and dropped it off. And then she calls and says, I dropped it off. But she doesn't even call the police station that she drops it off at. She calls a different police station. And she tells them, I dropped it off at this police station. So they call this other police station, and sure enough, they go out to the front door, and there's this stuff there. There's the purse, there's the shoes, there's the letter.
Now, mind you, okay, nobody actually witnessed her
Jump.
climbing up on the H and jumping. Okay, so there's not an eyewitness that saw that. And this was a big thing in Hollywood. Huge. We're going to show you some of the clippings and all this other stuff because it was big media thing. But nobody actually witnessed it happening. She disappeared for 2 days, and then this lady found her. Keep that in mind.
Found the other stuff.
Yeah, just found the stuff.
Claimed she didn't see her. And the reason that she claimed that she didn't was she didn't want the publicity.
Yeah.
So was this person a famous person too? Did she actually find Peg and recognize her and then go, ooh, she's a famous person, I definitely can't be, I don't know. it's a little bit fishy to me.
It's a little bit, that whole case is a little shaky. So here's the note that was found. And just read this note here. It just doesn't make sense. Because we just told you her life, basically, leading up to this point. But this is the note that was found. Go ahead. You want to read it?
I'm afraid I am a coward. I'm sorry for everything. If I had done this a long time ago, it would have saved a lot of pain. P.E. So, I understand that at the time, she was going through a little rough patch. Mm-hmm. But the fact that she's saying she should have done it a long time ago, was it when she got her divorce? Is that when she's thinking maybe I, had some problems, maybe I should have done it then or whatever? But she had so much success in her life that it seems very odd. But at the same time, you never know really what people's pains are.
I want to point out something too. The way it was signed, P.E., that wasn't her real name. That was her stage name. Mm-hmm. Just saying.
True.
It's kind of interesting. And there's also reports, like in those clippings and stuff like that, where she was drunk. She left drunk and all that. And I don't know. Mm-hmm. I just think there was a lot there that was covered up. And you got to remember, too, the time frame of this. This is Hollywood back in the, 20s. It was 30s. Back in the 30s. But, it was late 20s, early 30s.
Well, yeah.
So, it was a different time back then. Okay? I'm not going to say exactly what I'm talking about, but I think you can kind of take from what I'm saying. I think something was going on and they kind of made Peg disappear. That's my opinion. But.
Yeah. Now, the lady vamp thinks that the woman killed her, and Timey says, I think it's the ex that killed her.
Okay, I clicked the button, so we're on to the next.
Okay. Well, anyway, they did, as I said, go outside. They found this stuff that was supposedly left on the doorstep, of the police station, and then they go out to where they were told that these items had been found. And so they go out there and they do find the body of a woman. She is around 25. She's got blue eyes, blonde hair, and she appeared well dressed. So she wasn't a vagrant or anything like that. So they did find her, and they found no identification with her. So the only thing they had to go on was they assumed that this was the P.E. from the suicide note.
The alleged suicide note.
The alleged suicide note, yes. Yeah. Now, her body did get sent to the morgue, and it was unclaimed for several days.
Several days.
Yeah.
Several days.
Yeah.
And actually, I jump ahead. You keep going.
All right. Well, anyways, obviously, they did an inquest. They did the coroner report. They figured that she died from the multiple fractures that she ensued from the fall, and mostly from her pelvis area.
Okay, so let me ask you this, okay? Is it possible, you teach forensics, okay, and you study a lot of this stuff like this, all right? Let me go back to our main screen here.
Okay.
Based on that coroner's report, what in there says that she jumped from that H? It's just basically she died from multiple fractures of the pelvis region.
Right. And I would think that if she jumped, that she would have probably some leg injuries more than anything. But the pelvis would have some injuries as well.
But why would they say, as a result of a suicide attempt? Why would they put that in that report? Well, if you
remember too, anything that was unexplained, they listed as a suicide.
You're right. If you guys ever go back or watch some of our stuff as we go through this, a lot of times, we went through this when we were talking about the Lizzie Borden stuff, too. there was a lot of things that were listed as suicides when they couldn't explain it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there was I remember that one
flat out murders where their throats were slashed and their innards.
Oh, stop!
They were listed as suicides.
Yeah.
So.
True.
That's just the way it was at that time.
Back then.
That's the way I look at it.
Because they wanted to close the case.
I have looked for that actual coroner's report, and I have not been able to find it yet.
Gilbert Rod is here. How you doing, buddy?
I hope to, at some point, get that and examine it longer. Yeah, that would be in cool. More detail.
So, our little investigators out there, okay, that's part of this show too. If you want to do a little bit of digging, a little bit of research, we're in search of the actual coroner's report of this case.
That's right. So if you're out in California, you have the ability to go hang out in the offices down there, rub some elbows. I did try looking for it just online, but I did not call into California or anything.
Did they do an autopsy?
All I can find out is that it was a coroner's report. So whether it was just an external autopsy, which you start every autopsy that way, or if they did a full internal autopsy. No, it's not.
Autopsy website.
It's not.
Okay.
It's not. That's one of my first places to be.
Okay.
It's my.
Yeah, it's one of my first places I looked, the autopsy website.
Of course.
God, you scare me.
Autopsyfiles.org.
Okay, next.
Anyhow, so the coroner's report is done. She's laying there in the morgue, unidentified. All we know is we think she's PE. Uncle Harold happens to read in the newspapers, because this starts to become, news. I mean, there was a woman found, dead at the Hollywood sign. They start talking about this unknown woman, and that she left a suicide note saying PE as the name, and he starts thinking, well, she's been missing now a couple of days. This happened a couple of days ago. Her initials would have been PE if she was doing Peg, so this could be Peg. And so he does contact them and finds out it really was her.
All right, what's chat saying? Because I see Timey says, "Good Lord," I saw that.
It says they didn't call around when she didn't come home after a couple of days. I'm sure that they probably did. They probably called her friends and said, hey, have you seen her or whatever. But she hadn't come home, and he became fearful that was actually her.
Yeah, and she was, she was older. She was 24.
24, yeah.
So.
Yeah. And she had lived on her own before, so perhaps it was something that she did anyway,
Yeah.
So, anyway, I already said that kind of stuff.
Said that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I said that. So.
All right. So this is one of the newspaper articles. Thank on it, we're in the thing again.
That's all right.
All right, there we go. Okay. Here's another one.
Stage star in flop in Hollywood takes life in plunge.
Yeah. So the flop was the 13 women.
13 women, yes. Yeah, it did not get good reviews, even after the change. Couldn't make good in films.
So again, they're basing this as being a suicide just based on that letter and where she was found, and nobody went into it and said, could there be foul play here, right?
No, they did not.
Okay, so here's something that's kind of interesting with this. If and we learned this from Jeff Mudgett, that if there was neglect on behalf of the, and they can't see me, let's see.
No.
If there's neglect on the behalf of the law enforcement and it could be proven, then it would force them to reopen the case, which is what Jeff Mudgett is trying to do with the murder castle.
Correct.
He's trying to show that there was neglect as far as investigating that area, so he can get that case reopened, and they have to do, because that property there,
an excavation.
Yeah, that property is now a federal post office, and you can't do that. And the Hollywood sign is like you can't get to the sign unless you're like Ghost Adventures and that kind of crap. But
or you're painting it. You know, we got a lot of painting. About every 10 years they repaint it. So just got to be part of the company that actually gets to repaint it, and you'll be up close and personal.
Yeah. Was she strong enough to climb the H? Now, okay, so basically, there supposedly was a ladder there, like a maintenance ladder that she climbed up on the H.
Right. Plus, if you look at old pictures of it too, there were all.
I'll put that last article up there.
There were, I think it was the article maybe before this one.
Was it the one before, Tommy?
I think it's the one before this one.
I could go
because this one is specifically
Michael
about her.
Farr Jr. Hello, hello, hello. I think I could go back. Yep. That one?
Yes. Convicted prisoner leaps from window.
Oh, down here. Convicted prisoner leaps from window. Yeah, that's not good.
Yeah. So, I don't remember what I was saying.
I don't know.
I'm sorry. Oops. I got lost.
Okay, so after it ran in the newspaper,
he finally identifies her, and then they end up having a funeral service for her, and then they cremate her. So the mortuary that she was at was the W.M. Strother mortuary, and then she was cremated at the Hollywood Cemetery, where she was then held in storage until December 29th, when her ashes were then shipped off to Ohio, where she would be buried in her father's grave.
Okay, now this gets a little interesting too. Okay, remember, this is behind the haunting. What could be causing the haunting? Behind the haunting. Okay. Is it next? Am I jumping ahead?
We're getting there. Yeah, you're getting there. Right. Timey says, "Who said she was drunk?" I must have missed that. There were some news report articles that said that she was seen drunk and distraught on the day that she disappeared, and that's one of those ones that it could be true, it could not be true. I'm not.
Yeah, it could have been speculation. Sure. Somebody made it up. Right. Oh, she got drunk, went up on top of the sign, and took a plunge. I think it's a cover-up. That's just my opinion. But yeah, the more you read this and you get into it, it just doesn't make sense. They did not investigate. You know, some strange lady dropped stuff off at one police station, called another police station, said the stuff was there. Did she even get her name?
No, she would not call her name.
That doesn't happen today. You know, that kind of stuff. But I don't know. Okay. There we go. There we go, folks. Right there. For how long? How long?
A long time.
How long?
Actually, 78 years.
78 years. Her grave site there in that cemetery in Ohio was unmarked.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, her father did not have a headstone. And so she was going to be placed in her father's grave with him. And remember, she was just ashes. So she didn't get a headstone either. You know?
Yeah. All right, so here's the thing shortly after.
Now, this is another one of those allegations. Just within a few days of her death, apparently she did get a letter at her uncle's house offering her a job in the theater. There's people who say that was not the case because that theater didn't exist until after that date of death, you know, blah, blah, blah. But other people say, well, it just changed its name. There was actually a theater. So, again, it's another one of those ones that it's like, well, maybe it happened, maybe it didn't. But the role that theoretically she was going to be given was a woman who committed suicide.
Okay, so Irish Whiskey says, did she have life insurance? That's a very good question.
That is a good question.
It probably could be public record, but I'm going to assume... I didn't look into that. I'm going to assume no, because she was immediately like cremated, which is like the cheapest
didn't
form.
And she didn't get a headstone.
Didn't get a headstone, and she was in storage until they decided where they were going to put her, and then, oh, by the way, we'll put her in her dad's plot that's probably already paid for. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to assume she did not have life insurance based on those particular things. Right. I mean, would that make sense? Because if she had life insurance, then they would have been
right. Plus the fact that she was only
she was
24.
a Broadway star, and all this other stuff. They would have had a big, ta-da, but
yeah. But like I said, plus she was only 24
too.
Most of the time, people that age, they're going,
yeah, divorced. Too,
I'm invincible,
right? Yes, yeah, divorced.
Yeah, 24 and divorced.
I'm going to assume no, she didn't, but that's probably something through public records that could be looked up. All right, what do we got here?
The time he says, ew, with daddy, that's creepy to me. So that's actually the burial card that they have on file at Oak Hill Cemetery, where she is currently interred. And it basically just says that, her body was cremated and that she was a movie star that committed suicide by jumping from the H of the Hollywood sign.
So that's actually
on her burial card at Oak Hill Cemetery.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Very.
I thought it was interesting as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it does mention in there that she was interred in her father's grave as well.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
Did I go too quick?
No, that's fine.
Okay.
So this is actually from her Find a Grave page. And it shows the grave site. You can see grave 9 and grave 11 are there with headstones. And then in the middle there is where grave 10 would be. And remember, she was placed in grave 10 with her father. And he did not have a headstone either. So that is the plot that she was in for all those years with no headstone. Now, we do see a change to that later, but we'll talk about it later.
The later one? Or?
No,
okay.
No, we'll do it as time, because we're going through the timeline. So I set it up to be in the timeline. She does eventually get one.
We really should have rehearsed this real quick, but we didn't have time, so okay.
We're good.
Go ahead.
We're good. All right. So
I don't think
where
these guys
does
care.
the ghost come from? Where does the ghost start to show up? The ghost doesn't actually show up until the 1940s when the H falls down. I don't really like that
word ghost.
Well, that's
ghost
what they call her.
It's the paranormal claims begin.
Okay. Well, the
reports,
the ghost stories,
paranormal reports,
appear starting in the 1940s.
Yeah, because this actually is not, they witnessed a ghost go over and push this H over. The H fell over and they were blaming her for it.
Yeah, the H actually fell over during a big windstorm too, so, whatever. But they did suggest that she may have been haunting the Hollywoodland sign, and she was responsible for some of this or whatever,
Okay, so... All right, we got the Lady Vamp. So now we have a murder mystery to solve. I don't know whether it was a murder or not. I'm just saying they didn't investigate it very well.
Seems rude to put that on the card. Yeah.
Yeah.
Gilbert seems to think she fakes her death. Like, I think he mentioned that earlier too.
Perhaps becoming wealthy in a new career.
Possibly.
But I don't know. I think she really liked acting.
She did. It gave her some soul.
And you know what? Here's another thing too. On some of those reports and stuff, they said that her career, like she blossomed in Europe. She was never in Europe. She was born in Wales and moved to New York.
Well, she was born in Wales. She lived in London. Her family actually lived in London, but she was only there until she was like 8 or 9, and then she came here to the United States. So
I didn't think she was in London. I missed that part.
She was only there as a child. She was never
Briefly.
a star there.
Okay.
Yeah, she never did any acting there or anything. She was literally just a child.
Okay. Let's keep going.
Okay. All right.
I clicked the button.
You clicked the button. All right. Jeez. Anyways, so as I said, time progresses on.
Wait a minute. Rotten lumber, and she gets the blame.
Yeah.
You got to remember too. You know, you guys, we haven't done the history, but if you know the history of the Hollywood sign, okay, it was just a billboard that they put up to sell real estate. That's why it said Hollywoodland. That's what it was. It was a temporary thing.
It was the Hollywoodland Estates
put up to sell real estate.
Yeah, and it was only supposed to be up for a year.
Yeah, so it wasn't really well built to begin with.
No.
All right.
Yeah.
There you go. There's our history video in a nutshell. But
well, anyway, so the reports of activity, through the years have continued. 1990, there were reports, and everybody says that they either see a woman. You did this in the ghost stories and folklore. A woman, in the 1920s dress, blonde, floaty, smelling of gardenias, all things that she used to wear gardenia perfume all the time. She was blonde, she would have been dressing in 1920s clothing a lot, So all of these continue to happen. But what's really cool is that in 2010, there was a Facebook fan of Peg who said, let's go ahead and get her a headstone. So they put together this Facebook fundraiser to raise money, and the funds were used to purchase Peg a gravestone. So she finally gets a gravestone in 2010. Dies 1932, gets a gravestone finally in 2010. I just think it's kind of cool that, they did that. And then they did it so that she would have it on the anniversary of her death. So they gave it to her finally on September 16th.
Okay.
Now, September 16th again becomes important. There's another group out there in Beechwood Village.
Okay, so before we move forward, this is where we were talking right before your thing started.
Okay.
I haven't seen any recent stuff. It would be interesting to see if there's any recent reports since 2010. You guys see where I'm getting at? Now the grave is marked.
Mm-hmm. Did she come
Boy, that
down?
would be interesting to see. Oh yeah, all the everything's stopped.
Nothing happens anymore.
Nothing happens anymore. Don't know why.
But most of the reports aren't dated.
Theory behind that.
Which
true.
The 1990 one is dated. Other than that, it's all like, since the 1940s we've been seeing this.
Marty's crew died in 1932 and has Facebook followers. Absolutely, because of the whole folklore behind the Hollywood sign girl. There's Facebook groups and Twitter groups and everything for Lizzie Borden and all this Herman. I had somebody follow us on Twitter, and his thing was Herman Mudgett, and I saw that, and the picture was H.H. Holmes. I'm like, holy cow! I mean, there's
and it's not.
You think
just.
we're weird? Okay, there's like a whole community out there of. So I get that. Okay.
All right. So anyway, another really cool thing that some of the fans and some of the locals did for her was on her anniversary of her death again, they set up in a parking lot in Beechwood Village, and they showed the movie 13 Women, her only movie that she was ever in. They played that and watched it out there in her honor on her anniversary of her death. Now, they had they made a big affair of it. Like, they didn't just watch the movie. They had 50-50 raffles, and they had all food and everything. And so they had a big to-do. They wanted to celebrate her life and prove that she was just more than somebody who jumped off the H.
Tommy says, you said Lizzie Borden just to make her light up. Yes, I did. I have to keep her awake. Okay. I got it. She finds a twin. All right, so Gilbert's...
He's still on that, huh?
He's putting together his theories behind the haunting. Okay. There we go. All right. So she's got a twin. Forced her death. What? Okay, her stepson was... Which show did you say he was in?
The Parent Trap.
With the twins?
With the twins.
That's weird that he said that.
Yeah.
Mentioned
it's kind
twins.
of funny.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyhow, all of the money.
Oh wow, that doesn't even fit on there. Okay.
It did on my screen.
Okay.
Anyway, they took all the money that they raised that day and they donated it to suicide prevention.
See, now that's a good
and they
thing.
did that
That's
in
a
her
good
name too. And I thought that was really cool.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, so the fans, they got her a headstone and they donated money to help others with the same affliction that supposedly she died from. Yeah. Now, this picture is of that gravestone that they did purchase for her. And so since it's her and her dad in that plot, they did put her father's name on there too. And you'll notice the picture frames there. The day that they put it in, they put picture of her over there on the side where she's at. On the left is Betty Davis, who wanted to be her. And they thought it would be appropriate to put her picture there.
So those frames are part of that stone, or
no,
they're just sitting?
No, they just
they're
set them there
sitting.
that
Okay.
day. They just set them there that day. Yeah. So it is. Yeah, it's a nice gravestone. They did a nice job. So, and they did put Peg on there too. I liked the fact that they put her real name, but they did have her stage name that she really liked to go by as well.
That is Hollywood. Use the insurance to get the cosmetic surgery and change your name to Katharine Hepburn.
Actually, I believe that she lost a role out to Katharine Hepburn at one point.
Dun dun dun.
So it's funny you should bring up Katharine Hepburn. Yeah. So
All right.
as Sean and I kind of alluded to a little bit, ago, Peg's stepson supposedly committed suicide as well. He was shot.
Allegedly.
And there are others who don't believe that he committed suicide himself either. They believe that perhaps he was just cleaning his gun and it accidentally went off, because he did have a lot of guns and he did, clean them and things like that. And so there are people who say, no, I would never believe that he would have killed himself. But the fact that his daughter had committed suicide 10 weeks earlier, maybe he did. And then
Possible.
you look at it and go, oh, well, she committed suicide, he committed suicide, the granddaughter committed suicide, but they're not blood relatives. That was her stepson. Another one of those Lizzie Borden things, right? Uncle, living next door, his wife kills the kids in the well, go back a couple generations, more murders. But none of them were blood relatives either.
Okay, so we're going to go here, right? This is a more recent
Yes.
thing. Okay, so we were kind of talking behind the haunting.
This one was mainly about her, because that's
mainly about
who
her.
supposedly the haunting is.
Right. But let's talk a little bit more about the sign. Okay, because this week we're talking about the Hollywood sign.
Yeah. Supposedly she is the only one who's ever committed suicide from the sign.
But
was she the only body that was found?
anybody know? Anybody know?
And that could be construed as a trick question, by the way.
You're sick. I don't know how this goes. So
Lady
you're gonna
Vamp
have to tell
says
me.
she is not. Gilbert Rod says no. Tara
There you
says
go.
no.
There you
Lady
go.
Vamp said there have been more.
There's been more. There has been more.
Yes, and one very recent one.
This one's recent.
Yes.
Okay. So, is this the disclaimer?
This is the disclaimer.
This
yes.
is disclaimer. All right, I'm getting scratched under the table. So this is the disclaimer. All right, because this is a recent.
Yes, happy trails. And
All right.
timey. Yep.
You
Yep.
gonna do this?
Yep.
Go
They
through
already
it quickly.
they already mentioned it already in the chat. They
name?
know.
Okay.
Well, they didn't know his name.
All right.
But Hervey Mendlin, he also was found at the Hollywood sign, but not all of him. So he was actually a lot older than the person who killed him. But he was born in 1944. He was retired. He died on December 27th of 2011. It was a little bit later, almost a month later, when a dog walker was actually walking her dog and found his head in a bag. And it was near the Hollywood sign. So he did go missing. People knew he was missing, but his boyfriend told all their friends that he had been on a quick trip to Tijuana, and he just never came back.
Is that the end of that?
Slide, yes. But I do have a time.
Really?
I did, yeah. I did it.
You went there?
I went there.
I'm sorry, folks.
Yeah, I went there.
Let's see if we start losing viewers and subscribers on this one.
Yeah.
Now, I did give you guys a disclaimer.
Yes,
all right, here we go.
All right, so as I said, he was not whole. Okay, but on December 26th, his friends did talk to him, so he was alive on the 26th. The 27th, through the trial that came from this, we find that a gentleman named Gabriel did end up killing him and dismembering him on the 27th.
I'm clicking the wrong screen.
Oh, that's helpful.
There
yeah.
we go. Okay.
Anyway, he does tell friends when they start to ask where he's at that, he went on the 27th, he went to Tijuana, and they're like, yeah, he doesn't do stuff like that. I don't really believe that at all. A week later, suddenly his social security checks get changed to a different account that just so happens to be one that Gabriel has access to. Yeah. So that happens, and then a little bit later, clicky, his friends get really super suspicious because now they really haven't heard from him in a while, and this is not right. So someone gives the police a tip that he is missing, and again, who's this tipster? But the police find out that there's a peculiarity to this. He's missing, but information about his disappearance is actually coming from his email address. So
wait, say that again?
They're getting emails from his email address talking to them about his being missing. But it's coming from his email address.
Okay, that's interesting.
Mm-hmm. So the police find that interesting as well.
Oh, I can imagine.
Yeah. Yeah. So the police start to,
so
say, I think we should talk to him.
He sent an email saying I'm missing. Or wait.
I'm not sure exactly if it said I'm missing, but that there's something. He just seems to not be around.
I can't believe that's what you titled this. Okay.
So a day later, after this tip goes into the police, a day later is when the dog walker finds his head.
A day after the email?
A day after the police find out about him being missing. Yeah. They go out where this head was found, and they do find other body parts. They do find his feet and his hands. And then later still, they eventually find other pieces of his flesh in an excavation site that was used in a movie, which is also interesting.
Oh, how much more of this is there?
Well, there's no more of that grossy part.
Okay. Yeah. We're past the gross part.
We're past the gross part.
I'm sitting here like tense, like something's going to pop up.
No, I don't have any pictures or anything here.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Appreciate that.
All right, so the next thing that happens is obviously we got to talk to this Gabriel guy. So the police question him. He claims that on the 6th of January, he talked to him. It's like, yeah, I talked to him on the 6th. I could say something now, but I won't because I'm being nice. So let's just click on.
Happy trails, no pics. Whew.
Yeah.
I'm the same way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, police later find out that there's these 2 medallions that he apparently had, the dead guy, that he always had in his closet, and his friends actually said, yeah, those are the ones he always had. And it turns out that it was Campos who actually pawned them in a pawn shop.
Wow.
So that makes them even more suspicious of him. They go back and they check his internet history. This actually could get kind of gross too. I should warn you.
Please. Okay.
He
warning.
Yeah, warning. So they check his computer. And on the computer, they find searches for sausage making tools and meat saws.
Oh.
They find that he also looks for how to butcher a human carcass for human consumption. Remember, they didn't find all of his body.
Don't go there.
And they also found that he had read an article that talked about how to cut up a body, how far up to make the cut on the neck and things like that. So he was clearly researching this information at some point. But luckily from that, he does end up getting arrested.
Well, I'm going to go back. I was just doing a little bit of pre-stuff. Okay. Yeah, happy trails. La, 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 la. Okay. So we're good now, right?
Yeah, we're good now.
We're
completely good, yeah. All right, so in 2004, he does get arrested. He moved to San Antonio.
You guys are wimps. All right. Yeah, I'm just trying to keep her from letting her go. You guys ought to hear these conversations when we're not online.
Yeah, I can. Anyway, so he moved to San Antonio, Texas, to do a food industry job.
Which, by the way, I said if you make a super chat, because this is definitely getting demonetized, we'll put you in the book. All right. Okay. I'm sorry. Keep on going.
So, anyways, he does get arrested. He does get convicted, and he gets 25 years for it.
Okay.
Jurors actually took a day, basically, to...
Why did it take a day? I mean, with that evidence, I'm going to lock them up, man. Open and shut, right? What? I wonder why
but they
took a
deliberated
day.
for over a day.
Just the internet history alone, I'd be like, I want out of this room with this guy.
I don't even have an internet history that does that. You know, like
thankfully.
I don't look that kind of stuff up either.
So he only got 25 years?
Only got 25 years.
Wow.
And the thing is, I think he was only like 44 or something like that, which means that
he could be out.
He's going to be out and still be a decently young man. I mean, not young, but...
Demonetized by midnight.
Probably.
Most likely. Oh, man.
Yeah. So, anyway, so he's not, he's not a suicide there. He wasn't killed there necessarily, but he was found there.
He was found there. So, again, unmarked grave, desecration of body,
Yeah, so now my question is, does he now start to show up there? We haven't really heard much. I didn't find anything that said that he's been seen or anything like that.
Male figure.
But if his body was found there, maybe there would be a...
In the Ghost Stories of Folklore, they did say that there is a lot of times they see a mist.
Okay.
The rangers, the park rangers said a lot of times they'll see a mist going up the trail and then it disappears. They never said it's like, a woman, a man, anything, but a white mist will be going up the trail or coming towards them and then disappear or something like that. So, it's hard to say.
Yeah. And that could have also been not necessarily even one of the victims there. It could have been the guy who changed all of the light bulbs there all the time and everything too. He was going up there all the time too. It could be him redoing his job too.
Yeah, could be a residual.
Who am I doing?
Bullfrog? Uncle Al, that bullfrog one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Weird type plane. That's bad.
Gilbert, you don't know how bad I want to say some things too, you know, but I'm trying to be the good host and be nice, you know.
All right, we've been going now for an hour and a half.
Okay.
All right, so now it's the time where we turn it over to you guys. Mm-hmm. We got some questions for you.
Yes.
That we want to ask you and get your input.
Yeah, we're going to get your opinion.
Get your opinion. Okay? All right. So here we go. Question number 1. Have you heard, before tonight, have you heard, and I asked this earlier, but just say it again in this section so we can go back.
I think there were 2 that said that
Yeah, well, we got new people in here. Have you heard about the Hollywood sign girl before tonight? Have you heard of that haunting?
If so, you're putting a yes or a 1?
Yeah, yes. Put a yes.
Put a yes.
Lady Vamp says yes. Gilbert says vaguely. Irish Whiskey says yes. Yes.
Yes from Tara. Mm-hmm. Timey said yes, but not the details.
Yes from you. Yes. Nope.
Ooh, we got
are
the
new ones. Okay. Yes. Yes. Okay. Yeah, it was a pretty well publicized, you know.
It was, and for a
now,
while, and
this is something
they're
I
having a
wanted to
movie
say
come
too.
out supposedly too.
I think Lady Vamp, didn't you say that you've been there? Who's been to the Hollywood sign? Okay, if you haven't, let me explain something that's kind of interesting that I noticed when I was there. Okay, the pictures that we have of the Hollywood sign was taken from the Kodiak Theater. All right, the Kodiak Theater is right up against Grauman's. Okay, and then on the other side of Grauman's is the Madame, how do you say it? Madame Tussauds. Madame Tussauds Wax Museum. Tussauds. Yeah, so they're all like butted together on that side of the street. So from Grauman's, which has reports, directly behind it is the Hollywood sign.
Up on the hill.
Yeah, up on the hill, but it's a straight line. Yeah. Okay, across the street from it is the Roosevelt Hotel. That has paranormal claims. It's all in a straight line there too. So if you get into the theory of ley lines,
yeah, and there's other people who say that there are multiple spirits that haunt the Hollywood sign because they're all like drawn to it because of Hollywood, and so all the old Hollywood people, you know, that's who they think is up there.
All right, question number 2. Do you think Peg is the spirit that is haunting the Hollywood sign? And didn't you have things that went with this? Mm-hmm. Okay. So.
Oh no! Nope? Wait, no, okay. That's the next one. I'm sorry.
Next one.
Oops.
So, do you think Peg is the spirit that was there haunting the sign? Okay. So Gilbert says yes. Well, it was the Hollywoodland sign when she allegedly jumped.
Right.
Okay. So, yes. Irish Whiskey says maybe. Marty Cruz says yes. This was the first time. Second one was about 30 years ago. Also, yes on 2. Yes. Okay. I agree. I think it could be her spirit. If it was actually a suicide and she's going through that, I think it could be probably, I don't think it's an intelligent. I think it could be a residual, just reliving that over and over and over again. And I think at the end of Ghost Stories and Folklore, I kind of added the theory in there of maybe it's done on purpose because there's security around that sign. You can't get down to that sign now.
Well, you can, but you know, they get nice visits from.
Yeah, you get visits. But maybe this was like, you know, I hate to say it, but things happen for a reason. Maybe that has prevented others from doing that, you know. So, you know, maybe that's why that is happening over and over and over, and it's a residual type thing. Which could be.
Not in someone that has.
So I just kind of gave this one away. So do you agree with me? Why do you think that she could be haunting that area? Oh, this one has
this is the one that
multiple answers.
Yeah.
Okay, was it because her grave was unmarked? because she was upset with her decision to end her life there. Something else. Was there a D?
No.
Okay. So, if you believe that she is there, is it because her grave was unmarked, because she was upset with her decision, or something else?
And if it's something else, let us know what you think it is. So, We Are the Newmans said they hadn't heard of hauntings there. A and B, okay.
Yeah, I think that unmarked grave had a lot to do with that.
And just being, like, forgotten.
Yeah. 3, she thinks she's still alive but caught in a time loop.
Okay.
D, she's trapped. Which is a possibility, too.
Oh, Timey.
Oh, Timey. Thank you.
Thank you. Timey.
I'll help you, Sean. Lizzie Borden. Oh, she's not on camera. Here, you gotta do it again.
Oh.
There you go. There we go. Lizzie Borden. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Timey. That's so sweet.
So we got you written down there too.
That's right.
Because she
Timey
was
said
murdered.
because she was murdered. I think that's a possibility too. I should have put that as a C, but that goes under something else, right?
Okay. Marty says A, because the grave was unmarked.
Mm-hmm.
There are so much. There's so much activity. Okay, and I'm losing it up here, guys. You guys know that. Okay, I'm forgetting stuff. But there's so much activity around locations that are next to cemeteries or cemeteries that have unmarked graves. Okay, Gettysburg. They didn't get everybody.
No.
You know what I'm saying? They couldn't have. They couldn't have gotten everything. So that whole theory, I really believe in that theory of not having a proper interment, or our final resting place being disturbed could cause some activity. So that's I kind of go with that, because there's just so many different reports that relate to that. Dallas, I mean, when we were at that market in Dallas, across the street, unmarked graves there. It's just, the cemetery where Mitchell, the lady that wrote Gone with the Wind, there's paupers' graves there, and there's activity in that cemetery. So, all right.
So there's a question in chat. They want to know who the little kid is behind us. I'm assuming they're meaning Boris.
Who asked that?
Bullfrog.
Oh, Uncle Al. Okay. So when we started doing our haunted travels, we started out actually on our dining room table.
We
so
did.
If you go back and watch our early videos, our computer was actually on the dining room table, and that's how we were set up. This room here is one of our bedrooms, but Marianne had it set up as her dead things room.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm a biology teacher and a forensic science teacher, so I had weird stuff to
So you
start
guys
with.
can't see it now, and I can't turn the camera around and all that to see it, but there's like fossils and all kinds of stuff in here. So one of the things that was in this room was the skeleton. So when we moved in here to set up the studio, I thought that'd be kind of cool to put that on the set. And then we put out on Twitter to have our fans name them, and came up with Boris. So we kept building on that, and actually the ghost stories and folklore that we put out on Tuesday is narrated by Boris. So Boris is kind of like our mascot. So that's the little kid. Yeah, that's our little kid.
Oh, they say next to Boris.
Little kid next to Boris.
So either we have a little friend, or they're meaning then the big ghosty, which is not
This
a
guy?
little kid.
You guys seeing a little kid? I don't see a little kid. If you're seeing a little kid, man, take a screenshot, because I want to see that.
Me too.
That would be awesome. If there's a little kid here, scratch me on the back of the neck.
Oh yeah, great.
Yeah. Nah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay. Next to Boris, Marianne.
Remembered my hiking boots thanks to you. Oh. Happy Trails Hiking reminded him to pack his hiking boots.
Little blonde girl. I don't see a little blonde girl.
I don't either. Take a picture. We'd love to see it.
Yeah, take a screenshot. I'd love to see that.
Yeah.
All right. So number 4.
Question number 4.
Is there things under that?
Yes.
Okay. Let me bring those up before I do that. Okay. All right. So this is an A or B. Marianne's going to ask a question.
If you came across a body, what would you do? How would you react? You know, would you pick up the personal effects and, you know, just kind of anonymously take them to a police station? I mean, I don't know. It just seems kind of odd, you know, that people would do that. But I'm just curious, how do you think you would react to...
well, A is not an answer.
No,
it's another question.
It is. What would you do if you came... They're both questions. You know, what would you do if you came upon a body?
No,
how would you react?
I'm saying they can't answer A or B. That's
no, they can't. Yeah.
Right. So how would you react?
Would you pick the stuff up? I know today I definitely wouldn't. I mean, I don't know about like if it was 1932 if I would or not. Like today I'd be like, oh, can't put my fingerprints on that. You know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's a good question for Happy Trails and
chilling. He's going.
Well,
hiking.
some of you, yeah, chilling. Well, chilling, yeah. If you guys were out and about on your hikes and stuff, like, what would you do if you came across? Oh, Gilbert, he's out in the.
Yeah, he says he's gonna grab his camera and start vlogging, and then he'll call the police. He wants to document it first,
but
and
I'm thinking
then call
that's
the police.
exactly what Marianne would do too. Wait, don't call yet. Wait, this SD card's not full.
I just think that, like, for Peg, her stuff, like, you know, they just picked up her stuff and went and dropped it off somewhere. I don't know.
Yeah. So that's what they did. They just picked the stuff up, but they didn't see the body though. They just saw her stuff.
Yeah.
Laying there.
Yeah, but they went through her purse, and they found what appeared to be a suicide note. So they figured that somebody died.
I can't see that. What are you saying?
When I was 10, I came across a body with a friend. We freaked out for half the day, then told our parents it was a haunting experience.
Oh, see, now there we go.
So he actually did experience it.
We're not hikers, so I wouldn't have thought about that. See what Happy Trails Hiking said? Take GPS coordinates and go back to the ranger station and report it. Here's where I saw it. Okay, so that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think our phone has... I bet you if we were out hiking, I would have an app or something with GPS coordinates on my phone. And hopefully get cell phone service. But...
Lady Vamp's going to video it too. Make another vlog.
See, you guys are all YouTube creators. All right, we got one more, right?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Big question. Do you think it was a suicide, or could there have been foul play?
And that's Peg's story,
Yes.
by the way.
Basically, after us presenting this case to you, what do you think?
Gilbert says, my thoughts are if you document that with the video, if there's any changes to the scene, you have the original evidence to provide. And Happy Trail says that you're going, and Happy Trail says that you're going to get the GPS coordinates even if you don't have service. So that's kind of cool. Both drugs, foul play, and suicide. We're going to do both there, huh? Chilling with Millen, playing on a beach in Lake Erie and found a body washed up on the shore.
Oh, wow.
Timey says foul play. Marty's crew thinks she fell off by accident. You know, if she really was drunk that day, could have happened. You know, she could have been just climbing to the top of the H sign to check things out.
That's a possibility.
Look over the edge and, you know, check things out, and then just like didn't quite keep her balance.
If it was accidental though, why did they have a note? Why was there a note? If you think about that, there was a note for one of two reasons. It was a suicide or somebody planted it. Though, you know.
Mm-hmm. So maybe, Chillin says accidental death.
Or maybe she was thinking about doing it and had that note in her purse, and it just so happens they found it, because it never, she could have been thinking about doing it elsewhere.
Yeah. Chillin with Millen says accidental death, and if you think about it, like maybe she was there with someone, and accidentally she fell off or something like that, and then they tried to make it look like a suicide, so then that's why they wrote that note, or that's why they picked up the stuff and took it to the police station, said, I don't want to have any involvement. Maybe it was an accidental death, not really a suicide, and they knew it.
Yeah,
it's a possibility. Gilbert's gonna get his DeLorean and go find out. So
there you go.
Yeah,
you get a DeLorean, buddy. Stop over here, pick me up. We'll go have some fun. Woo! I got some places I want to stop. All right, so I think that's the end of the show.
It is.
We're gonna kind of wrap it up. We want to thank everybody for coming by. Got a little bit of homework for you. Once this is done processing and when you have access, please come back to this video and leave a comment. Do you like this style videos? Do you like us presenting these cases? Are there any other topics? Because these don't have to necessarily be places that we've been to. Okay? Are there other topics you would like us to dig into and see if we can find some really interesting stuff? Because I love doing these, In our opening screen on this, those who were here in the beginning, you saw pictures of other people I want to cover. It's the thing about Houdini and, all that other stuff. And
Lizzie was on there too.
Lizzie was on there.
But we did hers. But yeah. Did you see Lizzie was on there?
Yeah, Lizzie was on there. Okay, calm down. Calm down. But if you could, please come back afterwards and leave a comment. Give us some feedback, because that would be awesome. We want to thank our super chats for tonight.
Yes, Happy Trails Hiking and Timey Lives.
You're pushing us closer to getting this book put out.
Mm-hmm. Now you just have to actually do it now, huh? Oh, you said you're going to wait till 10, though.
Well, we have all this written out.
Yeah.
It's in the presentation, so we just got to put it in book format. So
Chillin wants to know where we would go first with a time machine.
Where would we go first? That is a very good question. All right, you say where you're going to go first.
I'm going to Chicago World's Fair, 1893.
Would you go there first?
I would.
I don't think I'd go there first.
I would. I want to go there first.
That would be one of the stops. I think the first place I would want to go would be Ford's Theater.
Really?
The night of the assassination.
Okay.
That would be the first place. Be like, drop me off. I've got some things I want to look into.
Okay. I mean, I'm not saying I wouldn't want to go, but I'm going to the World's Fair.
Yeah, World's Fair would be on the list, because that would be like... But see, I wouldn't want to leave that towards the end, because that would just make me tired. All the stuff that would happen there, that would be at the end.
Well, see, if you got tired, you can just go get a room over at the Murder Castle, and,
Yeah. What about you guys? If you did have a time machine, where would you go? Would you go in the future? Would you go in the back? If you go, what
I don't want to go to
period?
the future.
Nah, I don't want to go to the future either. I don't care.
Lady Vamp wants to know if we would try and change it. Would you try to change it?
If you guys saw that show Timeless, they brought up a lot of good points about that. What would have happened if he would have still been here? Don't know. What if I try to change it? I would like to go back before that happened and kind of get to know Abraham Lincoln a little bit, like personally, because I've read, I don't know how many books on Abraham Lincoln, and there's so many different theories about the way his personality was and things like that. I would like to have a conversation with him. How cool would that be? Sit down and have coffee with Abraham Lincoln. Just have a conversation with him, see what kind of person he is.
You can just go up to the house.
Yeah.
Back in those days, you just walked up to the front door of the White House and went, "Hey, I'd like to have a talk." So Marty's crew wants to go to Fort Sumter, Sumner, the night that Pat Garrett shot Billy the Kid, and he's got "shot" in quotes there. I think he thinks there's a conspiracy. And then Life of Grace and Logan Vlogs said that they would like to go back to the day JFK died in Dallas to witness it for themselves.
That would be interesting too. So the Life of Grace and Logan Vlogs, okay? If you're into that, all right, I'm gonna give a commercial for our channel. There's a video out on in our channel. If you search for it, it's called "Interview from Behind the Picket Fence." Okay, and I interviewed. This is way back before we even thought about YouTube, and I interviewed a guy. I got the whole thing on video that was there that day, and he was actually a consultant on the JFK movie. It is a very interesting interview. If you're into that kind of stuff, I highly recommend that you go back and take a look at that.
Good stuff here. Happy Trails wants to go back and try and meet John Muir. That'd be cool. And Gilbert Rod says, would we truly want to change history?
Yeah, I think some things would have been nice to change, you know. Yeah. But then again, there's also that theory, if you could go back and you try to change it, that something else would occur, that it would happen anyways. You know. Yeah.
Chillin' with Millen says they would maybe try to go back and eliminate the Hitler era.
There you go, Happy Trails. Thank you for that link. That is a very interesting video. It really is. And if you're into the JFK stuff, that guy was like amazing talking to him. And he was down there. We were in Dallas. Marianne was in her conference. I spent 3 days in Dealey Plaza. I just kept walking down there, just being there, and it looks exactly the way it does in that Zapruder film. Exactly. They have not changed anything. It's amazing.
Timmy, you don't have to worry about that, but we do want to know where you want to go, and if you got a time machine, where are you going to go? So I think that we should add to our list and say we're going to go and go back and see Lizzie. I want to go and talk to Lizzie too. But then again, that's still 1893. I could still do that.
Yeah, she would be at the fair.
You know, she went to the fair.
All those guys that I'd like to talk to would be at the fair.
See,
Lizzie,
you need
Edison,
to come. See,
Tesla.
you just need to come to the fair with me.
Yeah, they were all there, man. We can't. All right, so we have a podcast out there. We haven't done it in a long time, and I don't know how we would have time to do it, but it was fun doing those. It's called Untold History Revealed, and when we started doing those, we started coming across, like, even when we were doing the paranormal research and stuff, that World's Fair kept coming up all the time, over and over and over and over, and I'm like, that's like the pinnacle of American history. Is that World's Fair? Everything spins off of that point. I mean, H.H. Holmes, Lizzie Borden was there. You know, all that stuff was all surrounding, and all the firsts and all that stuff. It's amazing. We covered that already, but that's some pretty cool stuff. And we were there at this time period, but we were where the fair was. Yeah, that's pretty cool. All right. We're going to wrap it up. Again, please come back after this is processed. Let us know if you like these and any more topics you would like us to cover. And I think we're going to wrap it up.
All right.
Again, thank you guys for joining us. It's been fun. I enjoy doing these.
Hopefully.
I should have read that over. You asked me to.
I did ask you to. I said, see if you want to change anything.
Yeah. Next time I will. I forgot who I was dealing with.
Hopefully they don't think it's too history-y, but I do think that it's always important to know what led up to things.
Yeah. So. All right, guys. Till next time.
Thanks for watching.
And happy hunting.
If you like this episode of Behind the Haunting, make sure you hit that like button and leave us a comment below. Also, if you'd like to see more videos from Panic D videos in the future, make sure you subscribe and ding that bell so you get notified the next time we post a video or go live.